Hallo, guten Tag, herzlich willkommen. Hello everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. So the topic of this video is the gender of German nouns. And when I say gender, I'm talking about what we call grammatical gender. So you may have noticed when you're looking at nouns, you see this der, das, and die. Well, what is that? Well, it's really the answer to the question, how do you say the in German? So the answer to this question is, well, it's either der, das, or die. And each one of these words represents a different grammatical gender. Der represents what we call masculine words, and again, that's just grammatical gender. Das is neuter, and die is feminine. So the big question is, well, when you see a word, you have to decide which one of these does that word take. In other words, house is the word for house. And if you want to know how to say the house, well, you have to decide. Is it der, das, or die? And the answer to that question, long story short, really is you basically have to memorize the article. The article is the word the. We call that the article. And in German, the is der, das, or die. So the article has to be memorized when you learn the word, when you're learning German, when you're learning your vocabulary, when you're learning nouns. Really pay attention to whether it's a der, das, or a die, and memorize it with that word. There's really just no way around it. Now, there are some rules that will tell you whether it is a der, das, or die, and this has to do with what we call noun groups. For example, certain groups of nouns will either be masculine, neuter, or feminine. The days of the week, the months, and the seasons are all masculine. So Monday would be der Montag, Tuesday, der Dienstag, and so forth and so on. So those rules will help you a little bit. If you want to see a full list of the rules, well, your textbook will have some information. If you're not a student in my class, you can just simply do a search on the web, gender of German nouns, and you'll find websites and some YouTube videos that'll explain how gender works, and maybe we'll talk about these word groups. But the bottom line is you just have to memorize. There's really just no way around it. And that memorization just comes through practice. So the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. The more you repeat words, the better you will remember the grammatical gender of those words, or in other words, you'll remember whether it takes the der, das, or the die. Okay, so I'm going to show you some words here. We'll practice a little bit. Again, if you're a student in my class, you've studied this vocabulary, so hopefully you've learned it. If you're not, well, you can kind of learn it as you go, and then when you get to the end of the video, you can go back and play it again to see if you memorized it. Okay, so the word house is house. Is it der, das, or die? Well, this one is das Haus. Das Haus. Das Haus. And remember, especially if you're a beginner, repeat as much as possible. In the textbook, you do have the interactive vocabulary where you can listen and repeat. If you're just finding resources on the web, there are lots of websites that will pronounce words for you, especially an online German dictionary. Just do a search of online German English dictionaries, and some of them do have a feature where you can click on the word and play it and repeat. So it's a great way to practice your pronunciation, and that really is essential, especially if you're a beginner. You want to be more in the native speaker range, and the way to do that is just to listen and repeat as much as possible. You can do it. It's just a matter of time and practice. Okay, das Haus. Let's go on to the next one, Mann. So this means man, and there is a rule that grammatical and biological genders agree. So man would be grammatically masculine as well. Der Mann. Der Mann. Der Mann, der Mann. Frau, woman. You can guess this one by the previously mentioned rule. Die Frau, Die Frau. Die Frau. Lampe. This is the word for lamp. So generally you just have to have this one memorized. And this one is grammatically feminine. Die Lampe. Die Lampe. Die Lampe. Die Lampe. Die Lampe. Wiederholen Sie bitte. Please repeat. Die Lampe. Die Lampe. Wiederholen is to repeat. Nice verb there. Bleistift. Bleistift. Bleistift is a pencil. Grammatically masculine. Der Bleistift. Der Bleistift. Der Bleistift. Der Bleistift. Pencil. Papier. Papier. Paper. Das Papier. This one is neutral. Das Papier. Das Papier. Papier. Auto. The word for car. Das Auto. Das Auto. The car. Das Auto. Auto. Das Auto. Wiederholen Sie viel, bitte. Das Auto. Das Auto. Vogel. Vogel. This is the word for bird. Der Vogel. Der Vogel. The bird. Der Vogel. Vogel. Der Vogel. Notice that the V here sounds like an F, an English F sound. Vogel. Der Vogel. Heft. Heft is a notebook. Das Heft. Das Heft. This one is neutral or neuter. Das Heft. Das Heft. Das Heft. Wiederholen Sie bitte. Das Heft. Das Heft. Tisch. This is the word for table. Tisch. Tisch. Wiederholen Sie. Tisch. Tisch. Der Tisch. Der Tisch. So this one is masculine. Der Tisch. Der Tisch. And remember, first thing to memorize is der is grammatically masculine, das is grammatically neutral, and die is grammatically feminine. Kind. Kind. This is the word for child. You might recognize the word child in kindergarten, like kindergarten. The Kinder in kindergarten means children, so this is the singular, child. Das Kind. This one is neuter. Das Kind. Das Kind. Wiederholen Sie bitte. Das Kind. The D at the end here sounds a lot like the T sound. Das Kind. Das Kind. Kind. Buch. Buch. This is the word for book. Das Buch. Das Buch. Das Buch. The book. Das Buch. 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 Notice the CH sound. Buch. Buch. Das Buch. Licht. Licht. This means light. Der, das oder die. Das Licht. Das Licht. the light, das Licht. Okay, well, that's the end of this lesson. So students, did you get all of them right before I showed you the article? If not, go back to the beginning of the practice section and try again. And by the way, you may be wondering about this last word. This is the word for end, as in the end. So, der, das, oder die. This one is neuter. Das Ende. Okay, that's it. Das ist alles. Hopefully I'll see you in the next lesson. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.